Welcome to Game Crunch, your weekly video game podcast. My name is Mike Anastasia. With me today, we have Brandon.
Yo,
We're here talking about games and things.
games and things? Really?
Yeah, games
Okay,
and
okay,
things.
cool.
Things and games. That's it. So, what's on the agenda today?
I mean, I played more Starfield, but that's like pretty much the only thing I've been doing. That and CS:GO 2 or CS2.
Okay. I mean, those are, well, give us your updates, I guess.
Okay, I guess update on Starfield.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like quite a few hours in now.
Mm-hmm.
The big turning point of the game has turned. I still enjoy the game. I have found quite a few of its shortcomings. I do think some are valid that people have issues with, but I do think some are completely overblown.
Mm-hmm.
A few things that I'll share. All right, first and foremost, the way that you explore planets. How like there's big chunks of the planet you can explore, and then you have to like go up into space and then like land in a different spot to go to a different chunk of the planet. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I don't find that as annoying because what I've realized is there's really not that much to explore out on most planets, so it doesn't really matter in the first place.
Okay.
So I do feel that that's a little overblown. There's no real point to wanting to explore a whole ass planet anyway.
Yeah.
Um, Another thing that I have the things I've enjoyed that I think are actually really good.
Okay.
I've gotten into shipbuilding. Shipbuilding's really interesting because you have to like balance your weight so that you can have like a certain amount of speed and everything, and you can't have things placed in certain places, or else the ship just won't fly correctly, and then the game won't let you actually do that. But you can also still change things to make it work. So
Mm-hmm.
say you put like multiple cabins of like storage space onto your ship, and the game's just like, well, now that you've done that, your ship's too heavy, so it's not going to fly that well. You can just throw more engines on it and make it go faster that way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as I upgraded my ship combat got better, but it still felt like there was really not much to it. I would probably take this from like I think I said like an 8 or something last
Mm-hmm.
week. I think it's getting closer to like a 7 now. I have noticed there's a lot here that even from the point of view of like looking at this from like, Skyrim, Fallout 4 and everything, that
Mm-hmm.
some cases with some elements of this game are more restrictive than
Mm-hmm.
even Skyrim or Fallout 4 was. And
Okay.
and I can only assume that it happens because of said creation engine. And then, like I said before, the main story is pretty not very good. Um, as you advance in the game, you have to go to these temples, and I won't really tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
But you go to the same temple and do the same thing like 6 times in a row.
Okay, that's obnoxious.
It is very obnoxious. And when I say like go to the same temple, I mean it's the exact same kind of temple. You just fly to a different part of the solar system to go to one of them. And
Okay.
elements like that made it like why am I doing this? Like, it was kind of an obnoxious, and just wasn't as fun. A lot of the character specific quests are quite good,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the characters are actually enjoyable to like do their quest and whatnot. But one of the other big issues I've run into with this game is I kind of want to be a dick. I kind of want to be a bad guy,
Mm-hmm.
but the main like quest characters that you can play with or have join your party and crew and stuff, if you like even kind of do like an iota of something bad, they'll just quit your crew like
Oh.
out of nowhere because they're super goody two shoes. So if you're like playing main quest and if you do something that your crew doesn't like, they'll just leave.
Oh, that
Like
sucks.
like for instance, and this happened by mistake when playing with Katie. We had been romancing up this one person, talking with them, getting like really close to them and everything. And then like we had to have a space fight with these pirates, and we were fighting these pirates, but like a non pirate ship flew in front of us and our lasers hit them. and like destroyed them, and it was like a civilian ship basically, and it was
Hmm.
a total mistake. It happened. The man instantly got angry, stopped being friends with us, and just was like, "I'm done with your crew," and then just quit. Like, we were in the middle of space, bro. How did you quit? How did you do that? And that was kind of immersion breaking, and it was like also kind of like really shit. And that's kind of when I started going down the rabbit hole and finding out that a lot of the game is kind of restrictive if you're playing the main story, because a lot of the people in the main story, unless you leave them back at base, if they're following you, then you can't really do bad things, and you can't be a bad person. And that sucks, because like that's a fun thing to do in like other Bethesda games, just
Hmm.
be a massive dick. But like if these guys are part of your crew and you're a massive dick, they'll stop being part of your crew. And that really, really like kind of ruined some things for me, because essentially you have to be a good guy when doing the Constellation missions with people from Constellations. You have to be a good guy. Nothing more, nothing less. Like there was one mission that I wanted to solve because the guy was like, his father basically called him garbage, and I was going to solve that mission with a shotgun shell to the back of his father's head,
Uh-huh.
and I did. And then he was like, "Oh, you can't do that. That's how could you do something like that to my father?" And I'm like, "Your father hated you. He made it
Yeah.
very, very clear that he hated you and wanted nothing to do with you. He even said you were an insult to the family name, and that you would be better off dead, essentially. And now you're mad that I shot him with a shotgun, bro." And yeah, it's elements like that that really took me out of it. Like, yeah, I get it. You could be upset, but like this guy was like, "I'm done with you. I don't want anything to do with you." And I'm like, dude, did you even hear the way he just talked about you?
He does not
Um,
give a fuck.
yeah, exactly. And then you couple that together with a few other things that I found to be kind of very poorly implemented, such as the speech system when attempting to um oh god, what's the word I'm looking for? So you can use persuasion in this game like you can in Skyrim and this, that, and the other in those other games. But instead of having just like a flat stat for persuasion, it just adds to the ability that you might get it right.
Hmm.
So you may go through the persuasion check and you may have like a really high persuasion check and it doesn't do anything one point, and then you may reload the save and it works completely like 100% the next save. It's like kind of RNG based and it really sucks. Like it's not good. And then the other thing that really annoyed me, because I'm just going over the things that annoyed me, like
Yeah.
the gun combat's still really good. I found new guns. I've built new guns, this, that, and the other, and the combat elements of the game are a lot of fun aside from space combat. But I just wanted to get out of the way of the things I just did not like, and that's probably persuasion and stealth. Stealth just doesn't work. It's just broken. Like you could fire and have a silenced gun while having your stealth absolutely maxed, and once you kill someone, then everyone else is alerted to your presence. And it's just like, why? Why am I even going down the stealth tree if it doesn't fucking work?
Yeah, that's
So,
obnoxious.
hmm so my main takeaway is the more I have played this, the worse this game has gotten.
Okay. That sounds lovely.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
So are you still on the I absolutely need to play this before the end of the year train, or is that kind of
I
falling?
so I do think some elements of this are worth playing and are a lot of fun, but this is like fallen quickly out of my good graces. I don't know if it's going to be in my top 10 by the end of the game, if it's even going to be there. It's
Okay.
it's kind of really showing the cracks over time, and a lot of the cracks don't seem to be just with the engine. It seems to be with the way the game is built just in general, and I don't really know what they were going for here in some cases. Because like it just seems like the more I go into it, the less the game wants me to play it. And I know that doesn't make any sense, but like the RPG-ness of the game is like slowly just kind of disintegrating away as I go further into it, and it feels more like I'm stuck following a specific path.
Hmm.
I don't know. We're gonna see. But right now, yeah, I would recommend playing Resident Evil 4, Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, um, just fucking uh, Jedi Survivor, Armored Core, World of Horror, Street Fighter 6.
So basically anything else.
I'm recommending the games I would play over this, and
Oh,
it's
okay.
quite a few. Like if I had to pick any of those games, I would put them above this game.
Okay. Okay. Reasonable. You definitely put enough time into it now that, I mean, definitely it's pretty fair assessment, I would say.
Yeah, we're going on like 30 hours now across 3 different saves and on 3 different um, platforms. Which that's another part that I wanted to talk about. I did get
Yeah.
to play this on PC now.
Hmm.
It runs garbage.
Okay.
Not to surprise anyone, not to the surprise of
No, and I
anyone,
think you
but
were saying
yeah,
that last week even. Yeah.
yeah. So I have a 4070 Ti and
Hmm.
a 12400 i5 12400. To give you an example, uh, let me just give you one just by going to Amazon real quick, right?
Okay.
All right, an i5 12400, right? That is a $168 CPU. That's just the CPU, right?
Hmm.
A 4070 Ti, which is what I have, is a $850 GPU.
Hmm.
So, it's not low end. It's not a low end system at all, right?
Yeah.
And I cannot, for the life of me, maintain 60 FPS in 4K with high settings. And let me put that into perspective for you a little bit. I can maintain 60 FPS in 4K with Cyberpunk 2077
Hmm.
in ultra settings or higher with ray tracing. So there's no ray tracing in this game. And in this game, Starfield, I cannot maintain 60 FPS at 4K high settings. It is unoptimized fucking dribble. I have no idea why it doesn't really work per se,
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
at all. I will say some things. First of all, there is no stuttering in this game, which is awesome, great, love it. But I shouldn't be getting like 45 or like 38 FPS on
No.
that high end of a graphics card.
No.
Granted, the only
Unreasonable.
monitor I have is 4K. The only monitor I have is 4K,
Hmm.
but there's something I didn't reveal.
Yeah.
Every single setting in this game, be it high, medium, low, or ultra even, uses AMD FSR, which brings down the rendering scale. So, when running at ultra settings, this game runs at 50% render resolution. So I'm not even actually rendering at native 4K.
Hmm.
So I'm getting 45 to 60, more often 45-ish, on a $800 GPU in sub 4K because it's built into the game where it actually does. If you're on ultra, it does 75% render scaling. So that is like 1800 or 1700 somewhere in there. It's a lower amount than 4K basically. And I'm not even getting 60 FPS with that enabled, which is and that already doesn't make it look good. Like it kind of looks kind of muddy, kind of blurry with their FSR quality stuff enabled.
Yeah.
And you may just be like, well, I mean, well that's what you get. That everything's using some form of upscaling nowadays, and it's using upscaling on the PC. I mean, on the console too. And it's like, you know what? You're right. That is fair because now people don't optimize their games because they fall back on upscaling instead. But there was a modder that was given access to Starfield early by Bethesda so that they can make a DLSS mod for the
I heard
game.
about this.
With that guy's mod, my game runs like 20 to 30 FPS better.
Oh, well, that's good at least.
I get like 70, 80 FPS with that guy's mod.
For a second, I was worried. I thought you were going to say it ran 20 to 30 FPS, and I was like, oh my god.
No. No, it runs. It gives me an extra 20 to 30 FPS, depending on where I'm at in the game, with this guy's mod, which is absolutely ridiculous, and is a massive change between one form of upscaling and another form of upscaling. The only reason people assume that Bethesda gave this man early access is because they are locked into a deal with AMD, and as such could not legally put DLSS into the game as an option because of the deal with AMD. Because DLSS is a NVIDIA type of upscaling technology. Yeah, it is a mess. I feel like if we get DLSS added in, not through a mod, but like officially, this game will be fine and will run fine for most systems that are on the NVIDIA side. But even Digital Foundry went through with like a fine-tooth comb this game and essentially came out realizing that every NVIDIA GPU is unoptimized for this game and is specifically optimized for AMD, which is kind of shitty. Because AMD is not a large portion of the market space for PC gaming. Doesn't mean they're bad. It just means a lot of people are drawn to NVIDIA with its DLSS 3 and DLSS just in general and that sort of thing. And their new AI scaling technology with like frame generation and stuff like that. And as such, they have a larger market share and more people have NVIDIA cards, myself included in that. And when the game's not running good for those people and they're the large market share, then the game's not running good, period, for most of the people that have the game. So there you go.
Yeah.
A bit of a mess. Needs to be fixed. Can already be fixed if you mod it, but it's really something that people should just wait for and see if it gets officially supported in the future. Unless you actually want to go through the trouble of modding the game. But I wouldn't recommend it. I would just say wait and see if there's a DLSS mod, or wait a few months and see if it gets better on PC. Because right now, as it is on PC, it's kind of unacceptable. Like if you have any kind of GPU that is not top of the top line, there's like 3 GPUs that are like the cream of the crop, the top of all tops right now, and that's the 4090, the 4080, and the 4070 Ti. What I have. And if you don't have those, which are the highest end GPUs right now, I know I said CPUs by mistake, but I meant to say GPUs. If you don't have one of those 340 series cards, don't play this game on PC. Like, it's as simple as that. There are like cards like the 30 series, like the 3080 and 3070 and everything, and they're not maintaining 60 FPS in 1080p, and that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, my recommendation is play this on console, unless you have one of the highest end cards on either NVIDIA or AMD's side of things. So, there you go.
Okay. Sounds like a hot mess.
It is a bit of a hot mess. I mean, granted, I haven't had the game crash, so that's good. Yeah, I haven't had any issues with like stuttering, like I said, so also good, because it's not a game that's made in Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine is just a mess. Unreal Engine sucks. No one wants to admit it. Everyone wants everything in Unreal Engine 5, but every game that's been made in Unreal Engine 5 so far fucking sucks. It doesn't run correctly. It runs like hot garbage on everything it's on, and it's just not good. But everyone still is like, Unreal Engine 5, oh my god, but it's fucking garbage. Like, anyone that says anything like, oh, this game needs to be on Unreal Engine 5 because it'll look so much better. Yeah, you also won't be able to play it if it does get put on
I also
Unreal
feel
Engine
like,
5.
honestly, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. And I'm sure you probably have good examples to kind of, tell me otherwise. But I feel like most Unreal Engine games I played, even last gen, were not the best. I don't know if it was just not a great platform to develop for, but I feel like those games generally had more issues than not.
So, Unreal Engine has this thing where on pretty much every PC ever, it will have shader compilation stutter. And that is where it's unloading and loading in shaders for games.
Hmm.
as you're playing them on PC. Now, there's some games on console where this also is a crossover, where you also get shader compilation stutter, and it sucks really, really badly. My main issue with Unreal Engine stems from the way that it handles gaming on PC. So it's like the worst on PC. You rarely run into those problems on console, but what problems you do run into on console are basically Unreal Engine has a very like this is an Unreal Engine feeling to the engine. So it
Yes.
makes everything kind of feel the same. Like it
Yeah.
may be different when it's like a different kind of game. Like you may have a game that takes place in like the fucking jungles of Africa, or one that takes place in like Tokyo with all this neon and everything. But because of how Unreal Engine is built, and because of the way that like the lighting and this, that, and the other works into those games, they all kind of feel the same, and it kind of essentially makes every game feel kind of copy and paste because of the way different things work in said engine, but they all kind of work the same. So it doesn't really matter if you're playing Cyberpunk 2077 or something like God, what was that game called? It had Tokyo in the name. Tokyo.
Gosh,
Ghostwire Tokyo. Ghostwire Tokyo. Doesn't matter if you're playing one of those two games, they still feel just like generic open world game. I feel like the only way Cyberpunk sets itself apart is through ray tracing, and ray tracing is its own like can of worms essentially. But yeah, I don't know, man. I've never liked Unreal Engine. Like it's been used well in a lot of things, but when it comes to open world games in Unreal Engine, they kind of suck. They kind of really suck
yeah,
because they all feel the same.
I agree. They do. They look very much the same. And you can, oh, and you're right. It's kind of like the Mexico filter, in
Yeah,
movies. It's like
yeah.
that's exactly Unreal Engine is the equivalent. Unreal Engine is the Mexico filter. That's what it
Hmm.
is. Um, yeah, no, so I don't disagree with that at all. And you're spot on with like how they all feel the same. Like literally, I feel like I boot one up and I'm just like, this feels just like the last one I played,
Yeah.
and yeah.
So like
It
I
has
I
kind
can
of
give you
look.
like an example like of something that's not using Unreal Engine, and like it definitely has a different feel from anything else. So like here's an example. Take for instance, um let's say Horizon Zero Dawn feels like something different. Horizon Forbidden West feels like something different. And then an even better example I think would be like Death Stranding. Death Stranding feels like different from any other kind of game, not specifically just on the gameplay, but like the way it's designed, the way the lighting and like the surface area of everything like feels when you're like moving through it, the way the game is just it presents itself in its open world. It's very different, and both of those games use a far different engine than Unreal Engine. And I actually think they both use the same engine, if I'm not mistaken. I believe both Horizon Zero Dawn and Death Stranding used the same engine that was made by oh goodness, why can't I remember their name? Wait, let me find what their name is. Stranding.
I can't even think of the game now.
Guerrilla Games. Guerrilla
Yes.
Games.
Mhm.
They
Yep.
use yeah. They use uh God, what is it called? Oh, the Decima game engine, which is what was used for both Horizon Zero Dawn and Death Stranding, as well as Horizon Forbidden West. And like you look at and those games have a very distinct feel to them, where it's like, okay, this is kind of fucking crazy. Essentially, this has a lot more detail than something like an Unreal Engine game would.
Hmm.
And I don't know, I like it when other people make their own engines, but engines are really expensive to make. But when
Yeah.
like when someone else actually sets out to make an engine for a game as opposed to using someone else's, and granted, Kojima did just use the Decima engine himself
Hmm.
instead of just making his own engine because he got his engine stolen from him by Konami. But my my example still stays when someone sets out and makes their own engine as opposed to using something generic like Unity or Unreal Engine. It definitely feels like a very different beast. as
Yeah.
opposed to just using Unreal Engine or Unity for everything. Now,
What?
there's nothing wrong with using those two engines. They're the easiest engines to work with. They're very interchangeable. It's a lot of stuff that you can do with it, and if you know how to use the engine, you can make a lot of things in it. But like I said, everything just kind of feels the same on those engines.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is because it's so easy and so versatile.
Hmm.
They don't really, and they just don't take the time to really fit it for their project to make it kind of more unique to them.
Honestly, Unreal Engine feels like the McDonald's of video game engines.
Yeah, I mean, that's not unreal to say that. But a bump. Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, but I mean, they're really obviously making a push to next gen, as we will talk about later this episode because it comes up again topically later.
I was trying to think of like what engine was Street Fighter 6 on, and it's on the RE engine, the same one that's used for RE4 Remake and Devil May Cry 5 and Monster Hunter
Mm-hmm.
Rise and stuff like that. I was like, that's another custom-made engine that's not just Unreal Engine, and that's just another example of a really good engine.
Yeah.
Like Monster Hunter Rise working on Switch would never work if it wasn't for RE engine.
I did not realize that's what they used.
Yeah. That's the reason why like the Monster Hunter games work so well on the Switch because they use that engine and that engine has a really good scalability between like different platforms. Like that engine can be scaled all the way down to like an iPad or like a cell phone.
Is that why they're coming to the iPhone 5, 15?
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. That is the reason why I saw Village was coming to it. I don't know what else is coming to it.
Resident Evil 4 is as well. So
Ah,
is Assassin's Creed Mirage next year.
now that one's interesting because I don't know what that engine is using. What engine is Assassin's Creed Mirage?
I imagine probably some proprietary Ubisoft one.
Yeah, AVNX. Uh oh wow. Yeah, it's a game engine created in-house at Ubisoft Montreal and then used in all the Assassin's Creed video game series. Okay. Neat.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can only assume like the iPhone, which one is this? 15?
Yes.
Um I think someone told me it had ray tracing. Is that correct?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I think someone said it had ray tracing abilities, which is kind of fucking wild if so.
Yeah, do not have thoughts on that one. Not sure.
Village, Resident Evil 4, and Death Stranding are all coming to the iPhone 15 Pro. Notice how all of those are their own engine and not Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, what I was reading earlier, like TBD, how good they'll actually be. But they at least announced it, so stay tuned.
This is neat. Now I'm looking at the again. I don't like Apple, but this is kind of cool. Yeah, they will have hardware accelerated ray tracing. That's fucking wild, man. And a dedicated AV1 decoder? Dude, this is some crazy shit for a phone. This is nuts.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just cool. I guess all this stuff came out today or was like announced. Yeah, it was announced
Yes,
today.
Apple did
Okay.
a conference today.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. That really is gonna change up some things. I feel like if you can get games down to that small of a space natively, then like that's gonna eliminate some of the reason for cloud gaming on phones and stuff like that. If you can do that with a phone already, and that's gonna make people kind of have to pick it up. You know what I'm saying? Like Nintendo, gotta get that Switch 2 out there, and you gotta have something good for us.
Well, I mean, the iPhone though is going to cost what, $1,000 at least.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
Probably closer to
So,
like $2,000, honestly.
but I said there are new rumors about the Switch too. We'll talk about them later in the episode. What did you want to update on CS:GO 2 as well, or CS2?
Yeah. Okay, so since we have talked, CS2 has had 3 patches. So yeah, they added things like they adjusted some sound. They fixed some sound issues that I had. they fixed some bugs with like the actual models,
Mm-hmm.
and they fixed some other things that I had problems with. It's starting to already feel like they're making various really good improvements. There's now like a better indicator for when your health is low, which was a big issue I also had that I never even really noticed that I had with the game.
Mm-hmm.
So they did that. Honestly, it's just okay. So since we last talked, there have been, let's see, when was last week? We talked on the 5th. So there's been one, two, three updates, like I said, since then. Multiple bug fixes, lots of fixing of maps. HUD scaling has been fixed, which was a problem. They fixed the health indicator. They're doing a lot of things to make the game way better, and they've been doing it very, very quickly, essentially. I think they are going to have one major patch probably drop, like we talked about before, like you kind of mentioned, right before the game officially releases. And I think they still will be officially releasing probably by the end of this month. And I do kind of have some problems with that. I do think if they phase out CS:GO to release this right away, they will kind of shoot themselves in the foot. So I think they need to slowly roll it out and not phase out CS:GO all at once, because I think that would be a really big misstep to do so. But I do think that CS2 is improving. Like I said, every single day it's improving. Um, I understand more about the ranking system now because me and my friends have all gotten rankings, so I can give you a little bit of information about that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in the current ranking system of Premier ranking, which we had in last CS, now as you rank up and win matches, you get to a point where you will hit like, let's give a number for example. So let's say every time you win a match, you get like 200 points, and once you've gotten like, let's say 7,999,
Mm-hmm.
you won't get any points for the 7,999. You won't get any points for 6,999, 5,999. Basically, anything that ends in 999, you don't get any points. Instead, you get a level up, which will take you up into the 7,000s instead. So, like, then you're now locked in the 7,000s, and you'll have like 100 points or 200 points into the 7,000s after you go through the 6,999 points. And once you're in the 7,000s, if you lose a game, then you will be at like 7,000 flat, like 7,000. And then if you lose that game, then you will derank into the back down into the 6,000s. So it kind of tells you when you're going to rank up and when you're going to rank down now, which is actually like a really good thing. So if you're good, theoretically, you could win 5 games in a row and rank up every single time. So that's pretty cool. Other
Okay.
than that, I really don't have that much to say about it. It's just kind of the same still. Like, yeah, it's fine. It's getting better, and that's the most important part right now.
Yeah. I mean, 3 updates in 1 week's pretty impressive, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good. Is that all you got to talk about?
Yeah, I think so. I don't really have that much to say about CS:GO.
Okay.
I mean CS2,
Uh,
sorry.
I know. I just, well, I mean, I'm still, CSGO is just what it's been for so long. Just
Yeah,
so
I
you
know.
know. Yeah.
Since 2012.
Oh, yeah, it's so long.
That's a long time.
What do I want to talk about? Well, really, just drive into news and rumors because that's kind of, what there is. Although there was another bit, there's, I guess, 2 actual pieces of news
Hmm.
before we go into like rumor stuff. Gearbox might be getting
Oh
sold
yeah,
off. Yeah.
yeah.
Apparently, their holding company is thinking about shoring up some funds and sending Gearbox off to greener pastures, wherever that may be.
And the people that made Volition, they got shut down also
Hmm.
last week or the week before last. So
Yeah.
Embracer's just kind of just taking everyone out the pasture that they bought right now.
Well, I mean, I just saw something because they were like, well, why didn't they, kind of treat Volition the same way? And, Volition, I just don't think it was just a big moneymaker on its own. I think that's kind of what it was. That was a big team, and they put a lot of money in that last Saints Row project, and it didn't really seem like it panned out for them.
Yeah, because
So
they put it in the wrong place.
yeah, so there's that. On the flip side, though, Gearbox has been around for a long time. It's a bit more of a purchase.
Hmm.
There are definitely companies that may be interested in buying it. Like what, Take Two or 2K, because they're
Yeah.
the publishers for Borderlands, right? Yeah, I think so. It seems like a better fit for them. Although I guess on the flip side, really all I've done for the last God knows how long at this point has been Borderlands. But I mean, it does seem to be profitable. So, there's that. We got to deal with what's this craziness, but
I was gonna say, wait, hold on. Haven't they been doing other games lately, Gearbox? I'm
maybe
gonna check. I'm gonna check. Give me a second, because
anything exciting. I can't think of anything exciting.
I'm gonna check.
Mm-hmm.
So, uh, the last thing they did other than Borderlands 3 was a VR game called Penn and Teller's VR. Fuck you and you and you and you. That's an interesting thing.
Yeah, no, did not hear about that.
Did this never release? Because it has it's grayed out. No,
Maybe
it
it's not out yet.
exists. It's $20. It released June 27th, 2019. Oh, FUNU. Okay, so I thought they were just abbreviating it, but what it's actually called is Penn and Teller's frankly unfair, unkind, unnecessary, and underhanded VR title. But it abbreviates to Penn and Teller's FUUUNU. It's a
Okay.
prank game. It's a bunch of mini games and other things that are made specifically to prank someone in VR.
Okay.
Interesting. This is kind of weird. It's basically a way to fuck with someone in VR.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, honestly, it does kind of sound neat.
Yeah.
As far as games published, they did publish Hyperlight Breaker, Risk of Rain Returns, Remnant 2, UFO, Unidentified Falling Objects, and Blanc, which all released this year. Some of these games I'm looking at right now because I've never heard of them. Oh shit, this looks fun.
Which one?
Unidentified Falling Objects looks like really fun. I'll have to download the demo and try this one out. This
Okay.
looks cool. It's like an arcade game, kind of similar to Tetris. And install that one. Let's see what else we got here. They also released, what is Risk of Rain Returns?
A
Because
sequel?
I love Risk of Rain. When did Returns come out? It hasn't. Okay.
Oh, that makes sense then.
Okay. Yep. It just says 2023 when
That
you go to
window's
the
running pretty
page.
small.
Huh?
So that
Yeah, it
window's
sure
running
is.
out.
Remnant 2, I do know about this game. This game was apparently very good, but it ran very poorly on Unreal Engine 5.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm serious. Remnant 2 uses Unreal Engine 5 and it ran very poorly. That's one of their games that released. Hyperlight Breaker. I don't know what this is a sequel to Hyperlight Drifter, but I don't see it anywhere when I search for it. Is this another game that's not released yet? Yeah, it's not released yet. It's releasing in early access in 2023. Again, that timing window is running very dry, like you said.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
maybe they're holding on to them for the potential sale. They're like, hey, they got these games coming out. Doesn't that make them more attractive? You can dip right into that.
Blanc is already out. I know that one for a fact because that's a
Yes, that
Nintendo
one.
Switch game, and it
And that
actually
one
looks
looked
kind
kind
of
of
okay.
cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that is a game that exists already. So
Mm-hmm.
they are publishing games. They're not developing games right now. That's it. That's all I see for
For Gearbox.
for Gearbox.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening with that. So we'll find out. What else? Apparently, in some thing published by Nintendo somewhere, some interview, Aonuma said no DLC for Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait, what?
Uh, that's what they said. Supposedly no DLC for Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom is done, finished. So I don't know if I believe it.
Wasn't there a special edition of the game?
I mean, there was. It didn't include any DLC or anything.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I know Nintendo doesn't do those kind of like, hey, it comes with the season pass kind of thing.
That is not true in the least bit. 100% not true.
It's pretty rare.
What are you talking about? There were like 4 games they did it with this year alone.
Which games did they do that were like comes with the season pass?
They did it with Fire Emblem. I know that
Fire
for a
Emblem had
fact.
a version that came with the season pass.
They had a like more expensive version you could buy that came with it.
I know it had a more expensive version, but I don't think they usually come with the season pass.
I'm like 90% sure that happened.
Let's
Let me
see.
let me go double check. Let's go look
Let's
in.
research.
Let's do research for games that released this
Engage
year.
Collector's Edition. No, I just want to see. Oh, Divine Edition. What does Divine Edition include? Ooh, it's got fancy books. Team up with all the people. It doesn't say anything about
What is
DLC.
this?
What?
Star Fox Ocean, the second story R? Sorry, I'm fucking stupid. It says Star Ocean. I'm so fucking stupid.
I was like, I'm like,
wait, Star Fox? I just put the fox in there, and I said
I'm like-
instead of ocean. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Tiny little font, and I'm like, yeah, okay. That's just me being stupid. I'm looking for things.
You just
Let
made
me
that
see.
one up. But,
I did make that one. I lied. I lied.
yeah, but as far as I can tell, Fire Emblem did not.
I'm looking on the actual eShop right now.
Yeah, so it had a collector's edition. Yes, correct. It just did not come with the collector or the season pass. Well, the game had a season pass. Xenoblade 3. Let's see. That was last year, but let's see if that one did. I don't think it did.
I thought so. They're just releasing the season pass not as a bundled thing now.
I said it's very rare that they've done it.
Why do I feel like they had?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm so confused.
I'm trying to think. There was one game I thought of when you mentioned it. I was like, oh, this one did, and it already slipped my mind. I don't even remember what it was anymore.
It was probably Mario and Rabbids too.
But that one's a weird
That's
one.
Ubisoft,
it's like Ubisoft,
yep.
Yeah, and they really kind of drive that kind of thing.
No, I'm just misremembering, I guess, because it's done with so many other things. Like, for instance, looking at this right now, I see a $109 edition of Mortal Kombat 1, which comes with all of the content on Switch. So it's like, I could have sworn Nintendo did that also.
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo usually does, like, when they do collector's edition stuff, it's usually, like, purely collector's edition stuff. Like, collector's edition consoles don't come with the games. Collector's edition games don't come with the season passes. I think there was one that did, and I can't even remember what it was anymore. But it wasn't Zelda. It wasn't, like, Mario. I mean, Splatoon, I believe, had a collector's edition, but I know that didn't come with the season pass. That was announced afterwards. And that's the other thing, too. A lot of their stuff, like their DLC
afterwards. Yeah, I'm seeing that now.
They usually don't even announce it day and day. That's almost rare if they have it like, hey, this game is also going to have a season pass.
I just thought they've been doing it more often lately, so that's all.
I think sometimes they just don't decide until after the fact. They might keep stuff on the back burner, like, let's see how things go, or let's see if we want to develop these ideas. And sometimes those ideas end up turning into new games. So they just never end up doing, anything with that stuff. So kind of like what happened with some of the stuff they were working on for Breath of the Wild ended up turning into Tears of the Kingdom stuff.
Ain't no fucking way this is real. Hold on one second. This is actually insane. This is insane.
What's insane?
Unity is going to start a new fee for using the Unity engine. The Unity engine's new fee is known as, I'm gonna read this, the Unity runtime fee. The Unity runtime fee for developers will be based on the number of users installing games built on the engine. The runtime fee will kick in after developers cross a specific revenue and install thresholds that scale with different subscription plans. For those on Unity Personal or Unity Plus licenses, the fee will kick in after a project crosses the $200,000 in revenue over 12 months or 200,000 total installs. The developer operating on the Unity Pro or Unity Enterprise license will be granted a higher threshold before they begin owing fees for those devs. The charge will kick in after a title earns 1 million over that same 12-month period or passes 1 million installs.
Could be bad.
No. This seems like, for instance, right? What it seems like. If it says installs, right? And it's tracking the number of installs, I could delete and install the game on multiple computers over and over and over and over and over and over and over again to rise up that developer's install fee.
I mean, I guess it depends on how they track it, though, right?
I don't know, dude. I'm thinking from the way this is written, number of player installs.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying though, they might have to get that game from somewhere. So, I mean, maybe they just assume that's like, hey, we're just going to take the Steam sales and use that as a marker.
Yeah, but then why would they say revenue or installs? You see what I'm saying?
Well, revenue they're only going to get if they, get from like Steam or Epic. So,
yeah.
I mean, you would think it wouldn't count just like, random game copy installed out of nowhere kind of thing.
I'm thinking, at least from the way this is written here, that it means like the people that currently have it installed. So like if I were to delete it and reinstall it, or if I were to install it on 3 of my computers, that counts as 3 separate installs.
Yeah, but you're not. I can't see what you're reading. I'm assuming it's not the contract, though, right?
So let me get you the link to it.
Because I imagine whatever they're sending out to the devs is going to explain how those numbers work more clearly, like where they come from. Because nobody will agree to a vague thing like that. They're going to have
We are introducing a Unity runtime fee that is based upon each time a qualifying game is downloaded by an end user. Meaning I could delete the game, re-download it, that counts as 1. Delete the game, re-download it, that counts as 2. Delete the game, re-download it, that counts as 3, and so on and so forth. It is actually laid out here on the official Unity.com dev blog. Each install of said game counts as an install.
Let's see.
We chose this option because each time the game is downloaded, the Unity runtime is also installed.
Yeah, but then how would they be able to figure out the revenue price, though?
No, they said the revenue or this amount of installs.
But how would they get the revenue thing?
The revenue comes from how much money is spent on from the storefronts. Like how much money the person made off of each individual storefront. The install comes from how many times the Unity runtime installer is pinged on the download server. And if that is the case, you have to install that every time you install a game. So if I were to install that same Unity game from my account onto a different computer or onto my Steam Deck or onto Katie's laptop, that would all count as a ping. So that would be 4 separate installs from one user. People are even now talking about like bankrupting devs that are shitty. Like it's going places already. People have already come up with ideas to do it.
On their FAQ, they're like, we already have fraud detection practices in place, which is solving a similar problem. So we will leverage that know-how as a starting point.
Okay, good.
So, yeah, that would be...
Someone has already created a script on Reddit and shared it that will copy and launch files and remove the files and repeat the process depending on the game SSD speed. It can be used multiple times a second.
Oh, well, that sounds exciting. It sounds very hateful.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, well, that doesn't seem like a great idea. I don't think they thought that one through too much.
I don't think so either.
Mm-hmm. Anyways.
Yeah, that was a nice little sidetrack because that was posted in my other chat where people were talking about it.
Yeah. Other news. Well, other rumors.
Oh yeah, let's go to those rumors.
Let's see. Let's start with Switch 2 because we kind of talked about it last week. Where's the rumors? Where's the rumor? Where's the rumor? I was literally just looking at it.
Yeah, I also saw the Switch VR rumor that we were talking about as well now.
Yeah, so they're saying 12 gigabytes RAM and ray tracing. They
For the
showcased the,
for the Switch
the
too.
yeah.
Mm.
They showcased it with the Matrix demo. Everyone's favorite thing.
Yeah.
They use DLSS 3.1, and that is, I think, there's what the gist of it.
Mm.
Let's see. I mean, and then Digital Foundry kind of weighed in, and it was kind of like, well, just because they showed off the Matrix demo doesn't mean it's actually, you know, doesn't necessarily point to what kind of hardware it is.
Mm-hmm.
I like the example that they gave, because they're like, we're in the low information zone right now. We really don't
Yeah.
know a lot about what's going on there. And they kind of use this like hypothetical story. And we're like, before the original Switch came out, we knew it was using kind of an older gen chip. But if, prior to its announcement, someone had said, hey, this new Switch console, it's going to be running Doom 16, Witcher 3, yada, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
If you had heard that and took it at face value, you
I mean,
might
plus
think that it
they
would be
if they
running
were
it higher than what it actually
yeah,
is.
the Matrix demo runs on the Series S.
Yeah.
So
So,
like,
I mean,
yeah.
the rumors kind of had it as, at least from what I saw, uh, equivalent to above PS4 level.
Yeah, see, that's not going to give you ray tracing.
I don't know. That's what they're saying. They're saying ray tracing. So,
If they're saying
uh,
ray tracing based off the fact that it's the Matrix demo was running, that's really silly because, like I just said, the Series S can run the Matrix demo.
all right. Well, let's see. Here's the rest of the footnotes from Digital Foundry.
Okay.
Da-da-da. Let's see. T239 NVIDIA SoC. So they say it's running. Breath of the Wild demo is running 4K 60 frames per second using DLSS. Matrix demo had the benefit of NVIDIA having much better ray tracing hardware than AMD. This one
Wait,
says
how many frames a second?
for the Breath of the Wild demo,
Yeah.
60.
Oh, okay.
Says 4K 60 FPS.
That just doesn't sound doable.
I'm telling you, this is what people are saying that saw it.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, I don't believe it.
Let's see. DLSS 3.5 minus frame generation is what they probably were using to run the demo. And they think it's reasonable to expect the T239 to be able to handle DLSS 3.5 features. Unreal Engine 5 was developed quite a lot in the past 2 years. And it's more scalable now. So they think the engine is getting lighter and it's more feasible that this would be in it. And then they say it's in NVIDIA and Epic Games' best interest to have Unreal Engine 5 scalable down to Switch 2. So, because you have it open to more developers and makes some of the other games maybe more portable to the new system. So yeah, that's the Switch 2 rumors as they stand now. But they kind of even with the Matrix demo, they point out like, and Nintendo does this. This is a thing, and I think all developers do this, or all console makers do this. They're working with hardware that's coming out and not reached final production yet. They're like, hey, this is a computer that's going to have the same stats as what's actually going to come out. And then it doesn't necessarily actually have that, or it's kind of like a fantasy world. It's kind of like, okay, yeah, maybe this does have the same stats, but doesn't have the firmware, doesn't have the other stuff that's running in the background that can put a dip on. It doesn't have the kind of restrictions that maybe you would put on a console to stop it from overusing the battery or things like that. So
yeah, like 60 FPS 4K on the console would destroy its battery. Like that's the thing right there. That's a problem. That's a problem that you can't really fix because, for instance, the ROG Ally, which just came out, it runs a 1080p screen instead of the Steam Deck 720p screen. Or 800p screen, sorry.
Yeah.
And the difference in battery life between the ROG Ally and the Steam Deck is most of the games that run on the Steam Deck and have like 3 hours of battery life have like 45 minutes on the ROG Ally.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
let's
just not possible at that high of a resolution on a
you
handheld.
you know when they're talking 4K, 60 frames per
It's
second.
got to be docked. It's got to be
Yeah.
docked. Yeah.
Yeah. Nintendo's not putting a 4K screen in a handheld.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's not possible. It's not feasible.
Yeah, no, it's not. So they're not going to, and honestly, even just for that screen size, that resolution, not practical.
Yeah.
You don't need a 4K screen for a portable system like that.
Like the smallest 4K monitor is 27 inches.
Yeah.
And like that's even still too small. So like having a 4K.
Yeah, it's a waste. So yeah, no, I mean that's unrealistic. That's got to be docked. I think really what they were getting at though is, hey, this is the performance you can get when it's docked, and it's really, it's taking advantage of the DLSS. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would think that this is definitely going to be a more up to par system, from what it sounds like. Rumors, at least the way the rumors are going right now, is they say that the grand scheme of where Nintendo generally is conservatively with systems, this one seems to be a bit more aggressive, although it does not meet the current standards for systems. That seems to be what people are saying. So it'll be interesting to see what it is. I mean, rumors are everywhere between spring and fall next year for the system launch. I mean, obviously it's impending at this point, so it's only a matter of time until we get news. I mean, we theoretically could have news as soon as this Nintendo Direct. I think it's unlikely. If they do mention it, they're going to be like, "Hey, this system's coming out. Stay tuned. Next month we're going to unveil it or something." Because that's what they did with the original Switch.
The original Switch. Yeah, that's exactly
they did like an October kind of unveiling for it. And I think we were all surprised because it was like, hey, the system's coming out in 5 months, and we don't know anything about it. And oh wait, there's Mario and there's all this other shit. So that's really cool. But we'll see. And obviously, the more people that get their hands on it, the more information is going to leak on it, and it's only a matter of time. Like, we know more and more about it. Because once it starts to get out to third parties, it's like game over. Glad that you can't plug that hole. It's coming. So yeah, so you got that, and then so rumors are very strong. I don't know. At least everyone under the sun seems to say Nintendo Direct is coming this week. We're recording this on a Tuesday. They're saying Direct is coming on Thursday. So I mean, by the time tomorrow rolls around, we'll know. By the time you listen to this, you'll definitely know. But there's been a lot of rumors on the front in terms of what kind of games and stuff are going to be there. Some have been a bit more cryptic than others. So it'll be interesting to see, kind of one of the, I don't know, I guess more believed people is saying that there's going to be a Donkey Kong game at this Direct, but they are like, not what you think. So not a like platformer. It's going to be like a Mario vs. Donkey Kong game. So take it, leave it. That's what it is. Expect it. Dropped a hint that the new F-Zero, not the new, F-Zero game is coming. So there's that.
Okay.
And then they said there's going to be a port of a related Wii and DS game. Not related to those two things, just related to each other.
Okay.
And if you toss around like potential things, it could be like, hey, Mario, new Super Mario Brothers Wii and new Super Mario Brothers DS. Possible. Trace memory for the Wii and DS was tossed out. Possible. You could even have like, say, Rhythm Heaven for the Wii and the DS.
True.
I think that's less likely considering you got WarioWare this year, but you never know. But there's not too many games that have Wii and DS kind of similarities. I mean, I guess you could have Metroid Prime 3 and Metroid Prime Hunters. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if said rumor is true. I mean, I do fully expect them to shadow drop something.
Yeah.
At this Direct. They've done it the last 2 Directs. So it makes sense.
Can I take a guess?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Metal Slug strategy RPG.
Metal Slug strategy RPG.
Yeah, the one that fucking vanished off the face of the earth. You know what I'm talking about? They showed it off like 2 years ago.
Oh no, I have no clue.
So it was showed off in a Nintendo Direct. It plays like Fire Emblem, but it's Metal Slug.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it's Metal Slug Tactics, actually. I think that's what it's called. Yeah. It's shown 2 years ago, and then they've said literally nothing since then. Here, I'll post in the general for you. And this was like shown officially by Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And
I
it
mean, it
was
looks
supposed to
vaguely familiar.
release in 2022, and then
Oh yeah,
it didn't.
I do
I
vaguely
would
remember this
be
game.
super happy if this released as the Shadow Drop, because I've been wanting to play this.
Looks good.
It looks really good.
Yeah, no, I think the Shadow Drop's gonna be. I think it's either gonna be whatever this Wii DS thing is, if that's a real thing. Trace Memory makes sense. It's kind of like a odd series, but
Yeah,
I don't
that
know
is
if you,
on.
I don't remember. It
Trace
was kind of that.
Memories
It was that
sounds.
kind of like adventure kind of game, where you're
Oh yeah,
almost like
yeah,
a
yeah.
visual novel with some
Wait,
like
wasn't
kind of
this
puzzle elements.
wasn't this Suda? I don't think this is
No.
Suda. No,
Mm-mm.
it has this like style though.
Yeah. So there's that one. If that does happen, it makes me hopeful
Uh-huh.
that what's that? What was that game where it's like in the hotel, kind of
Hotel
also an
Dusk.
adventure? Yes, I love that game. And they also had the sequel that only came out in like Europe and Japan. It was like The Last Window or something. Yeah. No, I loved Kyle Hyde. He's one of my favorite characters. So I hope they do. That was a great game. I makes me want to play it. I kind of want to play it now.
Room
Um,
215, Hotel Dusk.
I kept trying to say it was room 333, and that's probably just because of the
Yeah.
podcast. um,
And
yeah,
sequel
so
was called what?
I think it was The Last Window.
Uh, Hotel Dusk Last Window. It was, yeah. That's the
Yeah.
sequel.
Mm-hmm.
And that never released
Here.
outside the US, outside the UK. Never released in the US. That's the word.
Yeah. I imported a copy. Very
Okay,
happy.
nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I bet
I don't
these are
remember it.
fucking expensive now.
Oh, I'm sure. Because that's how they are. But yeah, I mean,
Hotel
those kind of would be
Dusk.
cool things. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if Metroid
Oh,
Prime 2 gets
only
shadow
they're not
dropped.
expensive at all, actually.
Oh,
Huh.
really?
Yeah, like $30.
Oh, I mean, so yeah. So, although I mean, they were originally $20 games, I think. So it's still elevated in price, but still not bad. Not as bad as
Last
last
Window was a bit more.
time.
Oh my god.
How much?
Yes.
75.
Most recent price that it sold for was 55 without a case.
Oh wow, it's pretty
With a
impressive.
case, it is about 82
Okay,
or $80. With a with everything, it's between 90 and 115
not bad.
for Last Window. You have the whole thing, I take it, right?
Yeah,
Well, there
yes,
you go.
I do. I don't know. Europe got some really cool DS games that we did not get, surprisingly. That was one. There was Jam with the Band, also kind of cool music game.
I remember that
And
one.
and then yeah, I imported that one. Yeah, it was good. And then cannot forget Tingle's Magic Rupee Land or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I do remember that one too.
That was actually a really cool game, and shame on the US for not liking Tingle, because you're actually missing out on a game that was legitimately good and weird, and I don't even know how to describe it. I know I've talked about it on the podcast before. So
Mhm.
every once in a while I'll bring it up as like a random ass game that people should play. And yeah, it is. And it is not what you expect it to be, and it's kind of dark, actually. So yeah. Maybe I'll play that game again too. One of these days when I have time to play.
I've never played it.
I'd say try it. I think it's so weird. Like you are like basically, I don't know, he's basically like enslaved to get rupees.
Mm.
And yeah, like basically anyone who's like cursed is like a tingle, and so there's like all these weird like there's like you, Tingle, there's like a Tingle dog, there's like a Tingle lady, who's like a normal human size. And yeah, it's just some weird stuff. Um yeah. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, I think honestly, I think that the Shadow Drop's probably going to be more something traditional. I think it's going to be like, hey, here's Metroid Prime 2. Here's, like I said, that maybe if it's Trace Memory, that seems like a great Shadow Drop game. Uh, but I don't know what else. I mean, it makes sense that a direct will be this week. I also think that in terms of third party stuff, I think this is probably where we'll end up seeing Beyond Good and Evil 20th anniversary. Whatever. Seems like a great place to kind of sneak that in there, get a little good publicity before you send it out the door. Because I think that game would resonate more on the Switch, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So seems like that. I don't know what else I'm really expecting there, though. They're going to touch up on, Mario RPG. Finally, get to see more of that, which I would be excited for. Probably do a little bit more for Mario Wonder, kind of, last, ditch thing with that. And obviously, they're going to talk about whatever their big stuff is for the first bit of next year. So, we know Luigi's Mansion 2 is coming. We'll probably see more of the Princess Peach game. I think it's fair to say. And then I think they'll probably have maybe like one bigger-ish title at the beginning of next year. I think we talked about it last week. If Metroid Prime 4 actually exists, and if it is any way close-ish to done, I think that title is going to be cross-gen, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Mm-hmm. And I think that will kind of be their hook between the two systems. Be like, hey, you can play Metroid Prime 4 here and it's fine, but you really should play it here because it's 4K 60 FPS. So, but yeah, no. Do you have any other thoughts?
Nope.
Do you have anything else that you want to talk about this week?
So, Cyberpunk 2077 is having its 2.0 update, and then like next week, in time for the new Cyberpunk DLC that's coming out, which is the expansion. And we have a list of some of the things included in this update for free. So without buying the DLC, you should be getting these things: a completely redesigned skill tree and perk system, a new revamped version of the cyberware and capacity system, vehicle combat options, combat AI improvements, a new system for police forces, a UI and UX improvements, loot items and crafting changes, and new radio stations, including a community radio station called Growl FM. These are the free things that you get without buying the expansion pack. So this sort of thing is going to completely change the game because they're like completely redoing the perk system and the skill tree and everything. So before Phantom Liberty comes out, you could play through the original game with like a new coat of paint, essentially, up until the new DLC comes out because of all these free improvements. So that's actually what I kind of plan on doing in the near future because I do want to check out Phantom Liberty. I do think it looks really good. So yeah, that's just something that got announced very recently. So I thought I'd throw that out there.
Hopefully it ends up being good.
I hope so. I mean, it's got Idris Elba, so, that's one good thing, essentially.
Yeah.
At the very least.
I mean, it sounds like they've done an okay job redeeming this game.
I feel like they're doing a decent job. They're not No Man's Sky, but they're doing a decent job bringing it back. And I hope that this DLC actually does do essentially what it says it will do.
Yeah, and supposedly they're working on Witcher 4, so you get to relive this disaster again in a little bit.
Yeah. Guess so.
What else? What else you got?
Honestly, I don't really have anything else. I think I'm done now.
All right.
Yeah, I think I'm done.
Okay. Well then, thank you everyone for listening to us tonight. Don't forget you find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to reach out to us, we're on Facebook, or you can send us an email, gamecrunchcast.com. And don't forget, you can always check out all of our episodes on game-crunch.com. Brandon?
Yep.
Any final thoughts?
No, I'm pretty good.
All right. And for myself, my name is Mike Anastasia. You can find me online. I'm Clash of Penguin, there or on your favorite gaming console. And until next week, game on.
Game on.
Did you ever end up watching the Mario Wonder Direct thing?
I did not.
I was gonna say I don't know what is with Nintendo, but there definitely is a big old penis in the Mario Wonder.
What the
I forgot
fuck?
to mention it last week. Mario Wonder peanut. That's got to be someone. Someone has to have. Oh no, that's a Rule 34 video. Not what I was looking for.
Not
Uh,
it.
apparently, there's already lots of Elephant Mario pictures with penises. So not what I'm looking for. Let me just see if I can grab the screenshot. Maybe that's probably easier. Oh my fucking god, YouTube, Jesus fucking Christ. Was it in the original trailer?
Mm.
I don't know. Let's see what it is. I had just seen it again. No, in the front. Alright, please tell me I'm not hallucinating penises in this game. That'd be excellent. Yes, I know exactly which enemy I'm thinking about. The new enemy for this game. And I remember looking at the picture and being like, that reminds me of the Jack Black thing. Like it's gone full circle. There it is. I posted it in general.
Oh, okay.
For viewing pleasure.
Oh,
Right?
I mean, like I get it, but like, I mean, I don't know. Things are just phallic in general in Mario, but I guess.
Yeah, I know. This one just seems like very like more so.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I mean, I guess Goombas. Those are all very phallic. Pulling out your fancy dictionary words.